One.
Welcome to the new Atlantean Society. In today's episode, we will be discussing the journey of self-mastery and why it is important. We're your hosts, Anna Rokhlina and
Jedi Hill. So this is one we're going to have fun with. You're going to get to learn a little more background
yeah,
about the two of us, and we're going to have some fun with it. Many people think mastery is a point you just get there, you're done. Wrong. The thing with someone on the path of self-mastery is a true master will never call themselves a master. That's for other people to say.
Mhm.
The true master keeps a beginner's mindset. There's always something to learn,
Yeah,
always something to grow.
yeah,
Even when you're looking at ancient masters of old, whether you're talking about Hermes Trismegistus, Thoth, Lao Tzu, Buddha, Confucius, Jesus, Fool's Crow, and many, many others, they are always learning, growing, deepening their connection with Creator.
absolutely.
So once you realize that the path of self-mastery is eternal, the work becomes the worship. Okay? So, honey, why don't you start talking to people about your journey of self-mastery, and then I will go into mine.
Yes, and my personal journey of self-mastery, and it's an eternal. I'm still mastering myself. It never ends. I'm not admitting that I mastered it at any point. But it had started very early in life. And one of the stories, well, personal stories that happened to me, it happened in 1999, right before I came to United States, a couple years before I came to United States. My sister actually introduced me to opiates, and I think it lasted for about 6 to 8 months when my mom discovered what is going on because I was going to university and studying and falling asleep, right? And thank God, God helped me, and I also had a very strong will. And my dad, he was driving me to treatments on daily basis. Technically, I'm blessed for my father as well. So I went through the opiate treatment very easily, and that's when I got on my healing journey. Finally, got on my healing journey, and that was 2000, year 2000, when I became like a health fanatic. I was in such a peak physical shape that my physical instructor said you need to compete professionally for the lightweight bodybuilders. And then it was, that's where it started, the physical healing of my body. And then the diet stepped in, and since then, I have been always fit. I ran races, and I still run and exercise and do all kind of things to keep myself healthy.
Right, and you said you started yoga back then as well.
Yes, it was back home in Russia. Think it was I think 2000 as well, when I was introduced in a physical, one of the fitness facilities. There was yoga. I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. It's good for stretching, right? So that's how it started to me. It's a little more of a physical movement as opposed to spiritual. And then when I came here, I was like, oh, I need to make something out of myself. I was, of course, going to school and everything, all that. But deep inside, I was still suffering from so many traumas, unresolved traumas that happened during the Soviet times. And I'm not going to list them right now, but there was quite a few. And I was still, thank you, love.
Well, and mention like, okay, she came from Soviet Russia. She
Mhm.
was a kid when the Berlin Wall fell
Yes.
back in
Yes.
1989.
Yes.
So she actually got to live through the collapse of the
Yeah.
Soviet Union.
I remember the bread lines, and my dad and mom, they were never home. They had to work all the time, and they had several jobs. It was just it was very tough. We had people breaking in at our apartment all the time. My dad was stabbed with a knife. I mean, it's just too many to list. But, and then I actually got on my spiritual healing journey. And that was here in the United States when I started to go to church because I wanted to feel whole. And when I was going to church, I was
And what type of
specifically,
church?
it was a Catholic church in Cleveland downtown because that's when I started to go to church. But I think it was even sooner than that. But when I was going to church, the Catholic church, right? Instead of feeling whole, I still felt broken. I still felt that guilt and shame and those unresolved traumas that I didn't know what to do with myself. So at that time, I was living in Cleveland downtown. I had a luxurious apartment. I had a luxurious vehicle. I had all kind of perks. I had my retirement going. I had everything that an American would want to have in my life, in your life, right? But
Well,
I
and hold on,
was.
hold on. So they
Mhm.
know that you had these perks. What type of job was it that gave you these perks?
Oh, I was a probation officer, right? At the Cuyahoga County Court.
Cushy
And
government job.
cushy government job, absolutely. I was a member of FOP. I got all kind of benefits, and I got that job through internship and hard work and sweat. I was going to university. I was an honor student here. I was on honor roll for many, many years. And so few years living downtown, working that job, I was like, oh, life is great, right? And then my soul started to die, literally die. I was so depressed. I was like, I think I hit rock bottom. I remember when I worked for the county on Fridays. I would come home. I would literally open the bottle of wine and get a big piece of cake, right? And I would eat the cake and I would drink that whole bottle of wine. I never told anyone about it. And I would just pass out. That was my life. And I said, no, that must stop. There was something must happen. So I was going and praying to God. I was like, give me some answer. I mean, my soul is dying. I want to feel whole. And one of my friends, he introduced me to Reiki. He said, Reiki will help you to heal whole, feel better and to heal that, your soul. I was like, oh, okay. So I tried it out. And at that time, I started to go to a different church, also in downtown, more modern church for, younger people. The priest told me, Reiki is evil. You must stop doing it.
Or
And I was like, no, Reiki is making me feel better, making me feel whole. I felt so much better after Reiki sessions. And I actually continued and pursued. I became a Reiki master. I was like, no, I'm a person who likes to excel in many things. And I also was very, very hard on myself.
okay.
Yeah.
And for with what's going on here with, the church telling her Reiki is evil,
Mhm.
the church and the mosque and things like that want to keep you in the weak, limited victim mentality so they
Mhm.
can control you. They know when you start to
Yes.
do things to empower yourself and make
Yes.
yourself better, you're going to leave the church, which is
Yes.
why they tell you it's evil. That's why they tell the Christians don't learn math and science and
Hmm.
anything else to do your critical thinking, because if you think, you start to see all the flaws and all the lies they've told you your entire life to
Hmm.
take away your power to make you weak and pathetic.
Yeah, and I remember what's his name? That bishop. He's still practicing. He's still a bishop at that Catholic church, big church in Cleveland downtown on East Ninth. Was it East Ninth? I believe so. But anyway, I was actually confessing to him because I was dating. I was looking for my love to start, family. And I remember I confessed, I felt so bad. I said I kissed the boy because according to Catholic Church, oh, no sex, no kissing if unless you're married, right? And it made me feel so bad. And I was like, okay, so why am I going there if it's making me feel bad? So that's when the Reiki spiritual journey even continued and became even deeper. And then last year, when I worked for the court, it was 2018. I said, that's it. I don't want this job. I don't want where I am. And I literally quit the job, and I did receive a letter from our residing, I think, Judge Hurst. She was a administrative judge. She sent me a letter, thank you for your service and all of that. And I was very respected by all of our judges because I was a very good probation officer, right? But deep inside, my soul was dying, and I said, no, this work is not for me. There's something else God wants me to do. So I quit the job. I moved out of my luxurious apartment. I sold my vehicle, and I went home to see my mom and dad. And I also went to Turkey, where my sister had a vacation condo where I was just like swimming and just enjoying and living life and trying to, not trying, but when I was meditating and speaking to God, I was like, okay, so where to next? What do you want me to do next? God said you need to come back to the United States. And I did. So in 2018, in
2018, yeah.
2018 September, I came back here. I actually cashed out my retirement, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a house. And then a blessing happened. All of my prayers that I was praying to for my husband, for the love of my life, for my soulmate, he came, and he's here.
So
And
when we
he's
met,
here.
I was actually at the Soccerplex in North Olmsted at a
Mhm.
holistic fair that was hosted by Hank Stella,
Yeah.
serving as a vendor.
Yeah.
And we got to meet through a mutual friend.
Yeah, mutual friend, yes. She introduced us. And I remember when, yes, my love.
I had purple prescription glasses at that time. So not rose colored, but purple colored. So you could be,
Mhm.
see the higher spiritual life.
Mhm.
And I pull down my glasses,
Mhm.
look at her, and it just zinged.
Yes. It was fascinating because I've never felt anything like that. When I looked into his Jedi's eyes, I really saw his soul. I've never had a connection with any man in my life, and that actually scared me. So I ran away because I was like, "Whoa, it's too much. What's happening?"
Ugh.
And then my honey was persistent.
Well, I lucked out. I was smart, and
Yes.
I got her to be a Facebook friend
Hmm.
uh, before I asked her on a date. And she ghosted me on the coffee date. And I'm like, okay, whatever. If it's meant to be, it'll come back to me. And at that time, while doing the holistic fairs and things, I was homeless, living in my car,
Hmm.
doing body work and healing treatments for donations. Really cool, like going on
Hmm.
like Edgewater Beach and just getting a crowd of 50 to 100 people around you as
Yeah.
I was doing omnilateral physiotherapy and just, transforming people's lives while I was working on my first book, Alchemy: The Master's Path.
Hmm.
Christmas Eve, I shared the first rough draft with all of my friends on Facebook,
Hmm. Yeah.
and she happened to see it.
Yeah. Yes, so I got his book, right? Alchemy, the Master's Path. And I'm like, okay, it's Christmas Eve. My family is not here. And I'm by myself, Christmas Eve. And I was like, okay. I almost finished that book. I literally had, I think, one chapter left because I was already on my spiritual journey. So that book was so easy to read. And it resonated with my soul so much that next day I said, Jedi, let's go on that coffee date you've been asking me for.
There you go. So guys, if you want a trick on how to hook a lady, what the bait is, write a book.
Okay, book, exactly. Oh my gosh. So that's when it started. Yes. Um, yeah.
And then okay, what has your spiritual journey been from the time we met till now? How have you
Oh my
transformed? And
gosh. Yeah, it deepens so much. I literally transform myself. All of my traumas I dealt with, like all the abuse, all of the, there's so many things that I've experienced when I was younger, and I dealt with all of that, released it. The worries and anxieties, all of that is in the past because, and even sometimes when, a worry comes in and I take it to God, I purify it, I transmute it, I bless it, and then it returns to me as a tool to use as opposed to something that is going to shame me and make me powerless. It actually empowers me now to continue the spiritual work and teach other people how to transmute yourself so you become a more uh, full of life and vigor and energy, and also your soul is just singing. You feel whole and complete, as opposed to when you go to church, it used to make me feel empty. So yeah, now it's financially we're well off. We're building our empire. We're about to hop on the sail yacht to travel the world again. We've been working on Jedi's mission of building New Atlantis, I think since 2000, yeah, since 2019, right? Yeah.
well, I've been working on it way longer.
Well, together.
You saw it and started to actually start believing in it,
Yeah.
by like mid 2020.
Yeah, yes, yes. And then, when we to get the patent going and everything, yeah. And, physically I'm still active and I have the love of my life. I mean, my sex life is healthy. My
Okay, how do
mental,
you define a healthy sex life?
well, we have we always make out because I believe that having this physical touch is one of my love languages, physical touch and that emotional connection and bond and hugging and kissing that actually boosts your immune system and boosts your hormones of happiness and endorphins and everything, so you're actually making yourself healthier be via having the you
Mhm.
know the
The
intimate moments in your life
yeah,
all the time.
well, yeah, we actually like
Yeah, I
during busier times, she sets an alarm like every hour to like
yes,
check in with her body and come
yes,
make out.
because sometimes it gets very busy and I push I used to push myself through and then my body is like gets sick or something. Now no, every hour take a break, do some regulating nervous regulating system making out, and yeah, so physically healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy. I mean, on so many levels, so much better and so much easier to live life because now I live with faith and knowing that God is working through me, as opposed to having those worries and anxieties and limiting beliefs that most humans still have. And I know that you can do the same and live this fulfilling life if you utilize all these tools that we're teaching you in these modules.
hmm and don't forget all
Yeah.
the resources. My book's there. She's got a book for men on dating there,
Yes.
and
Yes.
so many other amazing things. I'm going to keep adding to that as time goes on.
Yes. So that's let me make sure I mentioned everything. Yeah, that's my journey.
And
Yes.
and it's
What is
just
your
getting
journey?
started.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's just getting started. And then there's gonna be floating platforms, the islands and New Atlantean islands, and then I believe
The
that
turtle behind us.
the turtle, yeah. Turtle's been popping up lately a
Turtle
lot.
Island. Actually the name for
Oh
America from the indigenous people. So that's why we put this
yeah.
here.
Hmm. Yeah.
And we're looking to make it out of things like these.